in Medellin, Colombia, there's a prison called Buena Vista, which means what? Good view, beautiful view, nice view. And when the world's probably most dangerous narco trafficker at the time, who controlled Medellin, anyone know the name? Pablo Escobar, okay? He was arrested and he was taken to this prison. Only he built a brand new facility for himself in the prison property, and every time he wanted to go to a big, football game, soccer game, he would just leave the prison and go at party and have it all night and then come back to prison. Like, he just mocked the law. And by the way, this was probably at that time the most dangerous place in the world, because so many men were killed, executed in this prison. It was so dangerous because why? Okay, because the narco traffickers, if they got arrested, were put here, but also corrupt policemen who were either narco traffickers or assassins were arrested and put here. Think about that. And then the paramilitaries who were hired by wealthy families to protect them, who were trying to execute corrupt police and narco traffickers, if they were arrested, they were put there as well. All right? Sharing the same cells, the same cell block. And so when you're just in there with, oh, I'm supposed to kill you. Oh, sure, I'm going to fulfill that contract. I know we're in prison, but my guy and I, we're going to whack you tonight. Oh, you know what? Tomorrow's visitation day. We'll do it in front of your family so they can see us execute you. That's the kind of stuff would happen. And there was an exercise yard, like a soccer field. Colombians, I think, have a little bit of desire to play soccer. Right? It's amazing. It's like the national pastime. And so what happens is they play, but they didn't have any balls, so they would just use severed heads of inmates as soccer balls. All right? And then this one man walked in, tiny little guy, because it was so out of control. Tanks had rolled up, army had rolled up, and they're going to storm the prison, and they're going to kill a whole bunch of folks. Why? Because the inmates kidnapped all the guards. And they got their guns, and so they're like, you let us out or we're going to kill everyone. And so here come the tanks, and this one little guy who'd been praying for this prison, he says, well, let me go in first. And he walked in, he just started sharing, Jesus doesn't want you to do this. You actually don't have to do this. You don't have to die today. You can actually live. And he's sharing and sharing and sharing. And what did they do? They threw plastic bags filled with their waste into his face. Bags full of urine into his face. That was a response. And he said, let me try again. So he leaves, he cleans up, he goes back in, he leaves and goes back in again and again. They're just throwing stuff at him, and he doesn't respond with violence. And that gets the attention of one other guy, who then says, okay, I'm going to join you. And so the two of them now are getting plastic bags of human feces and piss thrown at them. But then someone else says, why aren't you fighting back? Why aren't you doing this? And he says, I think this is the way out. I think Jesus give me this way. And so the word gets out, and suddenly a Bible study starts. By the way, the men give up their weapons. They submit to the authority. They submit to the law. There's no riot. No one gets killed. And then there's this Bible study that starts. What happens? After that, the whole way the prison is operating actually calms down, and people start actually respecting each other. Not all, but a number of them do. What happened over time? What happened over time is that the local seminary, which I know, it's a really strong Bible-believing school, Seminario Bíblico de Colombia, they started a seminary extension class in the prison. But there was no room. But again, these men who are out there, they have like a lot of skills. So they had a number of prisoners who were bricklayers and work as electricians and plumbers. So they actually got permission to build like a 3-story building on top of one of the existing prisons. And that's their seminary. And they have Bible studies and disciple groups. So I met with one of them, these disciple groups, and it was 3 guys, and they're on a sofa. I'm sitting here, and there they are. And one of them is a former narco trafficker. Next to him is a paramilitary who's hired to execute him. And the next is an assassin, a cop who went rogue, who was supposed to assassinate both of them. And now they're studying the Bible together. So I'm in this room, and the windows are open, and there's the exercise yard where people used to play with severed heads, right? And now it's actually using balls, and there's no one being shot and killed and stuff. No one being cut off, no one being stabbed to death. And meanwhile, there's this drop ceiling, where you have the aluminum frame, and it's got like the tiles and stuff. Mm-hmm. And these 3 start to share and the ceiling starts shaking. And it's like a train coming into the room. Unbelievable. And I'm thinking, what's going on? I look out and I raise my hand like this. There's no wind coming in through the window. But the ceiling is shaking. And there's this roar of a train, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm like in the book of Acts. Right? And why? Because they were sharing their testimony, and it was shaking the heavens, and it was actually confronting the evil that was still there in the prison.